Welcome to the podcast for real-life heroines. Let's embark on a journey that unveils the extraordinary stories of everyday women who redefine what it means to be a heroine or hero. Life is a tapestry of inspiration and magic, and today's episode is no exception. Here's your host, Susanna Liller.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me on the podcast for Real Life Heroines. And real life heroines because the women that I talk to, and sometimes I talk to men, but mostly it's women. And the women that I talk to are real life heroines. They're not in a book or in a movie, but what I discover as we talk and I get to know them is they have been on a journey, a heroine's journey, where they have to leave their comfort zone and go on an adventure, which might not feel like a fun adventure. Sometimes it's hard, but they grow and evolve as a result. And I'd like to introduce Kyung-sun Baek to you. Kyung-sun, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
And we're going to explain what's behind you in the room. But before we do that, I would like to, which is the reason why I got to meet you, which I feel very fortunate that I did. But before we go there, let me just read a little bit from your short little bio that you sent me to help people understand a little bit about you first, and then we'll talk more about you. And we spent some time, everyone, helping me pronounce Chung-sun's name. And I probably still don't have it. You say it for us, Chung-sun.
So it's Kyung-sun Baek.
Kyung-sun Baek is a wife, a mother, an owner of Freeport Mind Body Fitness, which is a fitness studio in Freeport, Maine. And she is originally from South Korea. And you began your journey. And of course, let me just say that we go on many heroines' journeys in our lifetime, right? It's not just one, but we do one and then there's another one that comes up. So we keep leaving our comfort zone. But one was when you left South Korea and you began your journey in modern dance in Korea, later expanding your passion for choreography in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, in 2001. And then between 2003 and 2010, you immersed yourself in modern dance and improv and the teaching scene in the Netherlands, which I understand is very creative and very full. And Korea, which you also dance in Korea, laying the foundation for your profound life purpose, which we're going to talk about too. Since 2015, you have committed yourself to working with individuals and groups, seamlessly guiding them, and I'm in the process of this happening to me, towards feeling fit, embracing flow, building strength, and unlocking empowerment through the integration of body and mind. In 2010, you transitioned to the United States with your husband, and you started a family. You now have a daughter who is 12 years old. And yeah, so that's a little bit about you.
Yeah.
So let's go. I have so many questions for you, Chung-sun. I think that my first one is, why did you leave Korea in the first place? Why didn't you just stay there? Because you were dancing there, right? And your family is there, I understand.
Yeah. Yes. So, well, in that moment, to make a decision, I think it built up a lot before. But in that moment, I found a school for new dance development in Amsterdam via magazine, actually. But in that moment, I was in the master course in Korea, choreography department. I created a piece, and something was really suppressed that I couldn't really figuring out that what I want to really express. And then I kind of felt the system, the hierarchy really makes me not really fully understand who I am. Um, and then when I found the school in the magazine, and then I thought, oh my God, I have to just try to see if it works for me. And then maybe at the moment I thought, maybe I'm not really, dancer, maybe I can become something else, but I have to try this. So I took that opportunity to just flew to Amsterdam and took an intensive course. And during this course, for 6 weeks course, I found myself very hesitate to change things. And same time, one day I realized wherever I go, it didn't really matter. But what was really, really landed into me that, okay, Kyung-sun, wake up, what you want to do, it was really in me. And then wherever I changed, the location was not that important. Same time, if I didn't go there, maybe I didn't realize. So it was also important to just to try and then to trust my instinct. So that
And
was, yeah.
to make a change, to
Yeah.
shake things up. As you
Yeah.
said, maybe you could have gone to Paris or China, but
Yeah.
this really, yeah. So, and then the other, well, so as you said, it was kind of coming upon you that maybe you needed to leave and make a change. And then you saw this in the magazine. And often that is how it happens, where a heroine gets a call. It's sort of a thing that starts coming and knocking on her inside, and then she eventually hears it and does something. But was it hard? Was it hard to leave and say goodbye to your family? And did they say no, don't go? And or did they understand? Was that departure a difficult thing?
Departure was not so difficult for me, but for my mom. And I had to leave a lot of things behind. Um, at the period, I was not as wise as now. So I was really like a holding. If I don't go, I was really self-centered myself. If I don't go, I would be really not happy. So I was not really feeling for others, but I had to really urgent to go and
Right.
then to experience. So, but same time, my mom had a hard time, but she support me to go. She cried behind me, not in front of me. Yeah. So that's.
And how old were you? How old were you when you
I
did
was
this?
not too young. I was 25. So with a career and then the stabilize what I was doing. So I just behind me and then just want to start again for whatever urgent to experience my own. Yeah.
Right. Huh. And so, just as an aside, though this was very important, it was in Amsterdam that you met your husband, who was also a choreographer and a dancer, and your dancing was modern dancing,
Yeah.
correct? So you did a lot of ballet as well. Yeah.
I did ballet in Korea, but not in Amsterdam. So in order to go to university in Korea, you have to do ballet and traditional Korean traditional dance and then modern dance. And then you can choose what's your major. So my major was a modern dance. Yeah.
And so it was in Amsterdam that you found out about gyrotonics, and gyrotonics is what led me to you. And
Yes.
let me just say, just so people understand, I'll have you explain it, but I was doing a lot of Pilates for maybe 10 years, and then here in Maine, and the pandemic hit, and my Pilates teacher stopped teaching, and I had to find something else to do and get exercise some way, and I need that personal trainer accountability. And a mutual friend said, "Oh, you should try gyrotonics. It's like Pilates on steroids." So I looked you up,
Yes.
came to your studio. And so, can you explain in a simple way, because it takes time to really learn what it's about, but what is it?
What is a gyrotonic? Maybe I have to explain to you why I get into gyrotonic.
Yes, good
It's a
idea.
Yeah, as a professional dancer, I know how great feels to have a healthy balance of strength and flexibility, um, and to able to move easily and joyfully. And same time, I had a lot of several injury from my dance career, and then I tried sort of a different therapies, and then really rely on doctors, but didn't really stay in me. And then I was a little bit frustrated. I couldn't really be healthy and do what I like to do.
And it
But then,
was mostly your back, right? You had,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And also as a dancer, we move so extremely and the repetition movements. So there are a lot of injured, here and there. But my back was really heavy injured. So, but one of my friend, like you, introduced me gyrotonic. So I took some gyrotonic sessions in town, and then after 6 sessions, I could move freely, and then I didn't have to go to see doctors. And then because I slowly understand what the body and spine movement is helping me to increase my mobility and then strength, and then so that was how I met in gyrotonic in 2001. When I went to Amsterdam right after 6 months, I started gyrotonic. And then so gyrotonic really gives me a lot of freedom, but it's really, to be honest, it's hard to explain what is gyrotonic, because there is many different aspects of a gyrotonic. But I will make sure a little bit explain about gyrotonic. For me, gyrotonic takes a very integrated whole body approach to fitness, and that different from conventional linear form of exercise. So through circular and spiral movements, which engage your whole body, connected flow and very effectively, I would say, decompress and stretch, and then fortify the entire spine. And so that's the first things. But this movement resulted then comprehensive toning and how can I say, major system. with a particular emphasis on spinal movement.
Yes, that's
Uh,
something that you explained to me. Like what I
yeah.
learned is that you said, I said, well, you were a dancer, and so of course you were toned, but you said, no, we just mostly we focus on our arms and our legs, and it's the spine that is what's most important in gyrotonics, and the circular and spiral movements that makes a difference. And it's interesting too that you explained to me that the creator,
Mhm.
who happened to be a Hungarian, which was interesting to me because my grandparents were from Hungary.
Yeah.
And his name, I'm forgetting, is
Ju- Julio.
Julio
Uh, how-
Horvath.
yeah, I
Yes,
have difficulty to pronounce his last name. Yeah,
Horvath.
Howard.
Horvath. Yes. And he was injured. He was a dancer in Houston, ballet dancer. And of course, you know all this, but just explaining that he injured his Achilles and that stopped him from dancing. But he went and created these types of movements using this equipment, and just started this whole new way of, and also doing yoga. Um,
Mhm.
and now there's like 15,000 trainers and
Ah,
and let me just put in this plug, Chung-sun, is that so I came to you with my back always getting sore and injured, and if I do gardening, then I'm hurting the next day and using the heating pad. And I got on your equipment, which stretches, and then there's all these spiral movements, moving things that normally I wouldn't move. And
mhm.
my back now is so much better, and I can garden and not be crippled the next day. So I'm an example.
Mm. Yeah. Very good example.
Very good.
Yes, yeah.
Let me ask you though, so when in your bio you say your, how did you put it? I read it, about your life purpose, your
Mhm.
profound life purpose, discovering that. So what did you discover as your life purpose?
Um, you mean while I'm working with the people or before why I found to work with the people?
Yes, yes. I mean, what is it that excites you and gives you that passion to work with people like me and the other people in your studio?
Yeah. Um, so I know well what it's like to not be able to move easily and pain free because of my injury.
Mhm.
So then when after I moved to Maine in 2014, I was looking for some other workout or because I left my dance career at that period and then I gave a birth. So my body was, I want to integrate again. And then I just want to become a gyrotonic instructor to help myself. And then I didn't have any job in that period because I moved twice the country and didn't have any network. So maybe I can help other people too. So that's very simply how I started. And then, but as much as I move on, and then I had no um, clients in the beginning because first nobody knows about gyrotonic in Maine, and then even the dancers, and then yeah, it was just quite open eyes because I moved to always big cities, and then not really Maine, in like a small town. So I first impression like, oh wow, I cannot help people because I have to be business person, because I didn't know where to meet, and then I just see everybody, and then in the street, oh, I can help this person. But I had a patient, and then one person, two people for 3 years, and then I work with them, and then I really enjoy. And then I slowly learning that, oh my God, I'm learning so much from them too. So it's not only I help them make me happy, but they also help me so much to understand what is body, non-professional dancer body. And then that was really open eyes for me. And then I was so dig into to meet people in this way. It's not just like a fitness what I found. It's also like there is a deeper level of understanding our body and each other. Um, so for me, that's kind of without any family connection, and then friends here. That was also another way to meet my friend, become a friend. So yeah, it's a kind of a gradually merging to love my job and then helping people. So yeah, I think that makes a
Yes, well, just so if you think about it, coming here, not knowing anybody but your husband and his mother, which is why you came to Maine, I understand. Um, and then starting a business of where, as you say, people didn't know what gyrotonics is, and they still don't, because I tell people that I'm doing it, and what's that? But definitely New York, Boston, Philadelphia, all the big cities
Mm,
have studios. And so that was a big, we talk about leaving your comfort zone.
yeah.
You really did. You really, because you left the dancer world. And so if we go back, because you shared this with me, when you were young,
Mm.
you had a couple traumatic experiences, and you were very shy as a result. You sort of withdrew. And, you've talked about in your bio and when we talked prior to this, that dancing was a lifeline for you. Do you want to share how dancing kind of brought you out of that sad place that you were in?
Yeah, so my parents were not so high educated, and then they had to work, and they got married quite early on. And then the relationship was not so great. And then I was a second child, and when my mother had to work, so she sent me to my grandmother's house, so quite often, like 2 hours away. And but I haven't seen maybe my mom, my parents for 6 to 1 year, like that, in the period till 7. Um, well, that if I think back, that's kind of a sad, but in the period, I was just very shy, introverted, and then I used to like to walk around and then just knock to other people's house if anybody want to play with me, that kind of. And then, but then, when I was 12, my parents divorced, and then I had to take care of my brother. And then after a few years later, my brother passed away
Mm.
by accident. So it was really shock to my family. Everybody was just want to not to talk about it. And then,
Tragic.
so yeah, this kind of was few, and then I was very stone face. Now you can see my smile face, but I was very stone in daily life. I just ask nobody watch me, that kind of girl, and then grew up that way. And but when I dance, I felt like I could meet myself. So, and in front of a mirror, I didn't really even look at the mirror during the day. But when I go to dance studio, I look myself and then I express, and the movement itself will give me a lot of joy, experience emotionally, not so gratefully, great. I didn't open it, but I don't know, something connect to my body, I think makes me really happy.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That says a lot for dance, doesn't it? I mean, the wonder of it and what it can do, that expression, and so really turned you into a different didn't turn you into a different person. It helped you express who you really are, which was there all the time, but just had withdrawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, going into that world of dance was one journey, and then coming to the Netherlands, another journey,
Yeah.
gyroconics, another one, and then here you are, a businesswoman who's right now in the process of expanding your studio.
Yeah.
So you have more space because you have more clients. So let me ask you this. If you can even do this, where would you think you would be if you had never left Korea? If you had just said, "Oh, I can't do this. It's too big a change. I'm just going to stay here." What would your life be like, you think? Can you even imagine it?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because as I had a lot of question around that. Whenever I have a difficulty, or one step here, one step there, in Holland, also one step there, one step there. Because of that, I could teach there because it was an easier job, because I have a network in Korea and my professor invite me and then to teach. So much easier job there. So always, but my passion, and then I want to have a dance project in Holland. So I have a healthy, and then when I moved to America with my business, I could always go back to Korea and have a teaching job,
Right.
for example. So whenever we go with my husband, we always had to teach workshops. So it's a very nice feeling of job is already there, and then I could.
But
So
it would have been a lot easier. And
definitely easier. And same time, I'm not sure how the lifestyle was easier for me to live there. So there was always a questionable. And then one day, I think it was not so long ago, 3 years ago, I found myself, hey, I have a life here. I not really think about, oh, maybe one day I will go there and teaching. But how about, should I just build up my life and then see where it's going? And then maybe expand the studio. And that was kind of around the pandemic. See. So
yeah.
I was already looking for, here studio, and they want to land in where I am. Instead, yeah. So, but then pandemic, boom.
Right, that's for sure. And so that's so interesting because we kind of live our lives and we're paying attention to what's inside of us that's driving us. And then at some point you realize, oh, look what I've done. I've created this, and you don't really see it when you're into it, doing it, right?
Yeah.
You need kind of distance to see what you've done. And yeah, so how interesting. And so what about, when I talk to people about making these big changes,
Mm.
like you did, and we talk about fear and how sometimes being afraid of what they're getting into because they don't know, and that fear gets in the way. And how about you, Kun-sun? how do you deal with fear? Or do you even feel it? Or what's your way of dealing with it?
So, how I grew up, nobody told me what I should do, because that's also one good things about, my parents were not there for me. So I had to make a decision what I want to do, where I'm going. Not always openness was there, but when I really want from my inside, that was where I want to go, then I did. So there was no fear.
Mm.
And then, but I also didn't want to feel my emotion very long time. And then I start to open my emotion and feeling when I arrive Amsterdam after 1 year. That was a really hard period for me to feel what I feel. And then there was emotions. So from there on, yeah, that was really broke down everything. So from there, but it was good enough. I was old enough to feel the fear because of my past experience. What I've done, I could trust myself that, oh yeah, I did this, so I can trust myself to move on with fear. So
That
now,
that's yeah, that's so good because, well, number one, you talk about your parents were never around. And even though so many would think, oh no, that's awful, you had the good part of it by saying, well, then I had to make my own decisions. And then that whole thing, which I'm always, when I work with women and they're getting ready to take the next step that might be hard for them, to get them to say, yeah, but what have you done in the past? You made, you trusted yourself, you did it, you're okay. And so you realize that on your own.
yeah.
Yeah. Trusting yourself to get you to where you want to be. And that's wonderful. So, as people listen here to what you've done and your story, and if you wanted, because there's so much that they could take away, but if they could only remember one thing that you wanted to make sure that they remembered, that you've learned in your life, what would you want them to remember from this conversation?
That's I can just say from my experience that I was always talking to myself. There was always a dialogue, not always pleasant, but I learned a lot through that dialogue, and then made a decision and then go move forward.
Hmm.
So of course we can have a lot of advice from others, but in the end, the deep down, how you feel about talking to yourself, and then from that answer, and then you made action and move forward. For
Hmm.
me, that's empower ourselves.
Right.
That's how I want to teach, and then I'm teaching with my client to listen and aware what your body feeling, and then from there you are ready to move or whatever big movement and jump, but
Hmm.
without listening yourself and then what's going on, that's really hard to jump. You can jump, but you will get injured
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm.
sure. So that's I think what I will want to share with the
Yes.
people.
And I think that your experience with dance must really, not only how it helped you when you were young, and I'm only assuming that when you said you had to work through your emotions, it must have been connected to losing your brother and having your parents divorce. And But dance, just that movement itself helps us work through tough things, right?
Yeah, tough things, and then you know, around the people who loves the dance, and then you see we have different issues, but you can really learn a lot also how they learn from dance and then how they move out. So there was 1,000 different kind of people around me who loves dance, and then we all have a different issues, and then we work differently. But that was for me like a learning curve that not only my way is the best, but I saw, and with my clients also, I saw how they learn, and then with a little bit of my help and then advice and then information, they really become things. It's a movement and then theirs. So that's kind of for me. We live together, not living all by myself. So that's
Yeah.
just on layers.
Inspiring. It's inspiring. And so I have one more question for you.
Yes.
So are you dancing at all now?
I'm dancing not outside of my house so much. Sometimes I dance in Belfast. There is a women's work, and during summertime, 3 days, it's kind of more performance. But I dance a lot at home with my daughters, and sometimes in the morning, if I have time before I work, with the music, I dance in my studio. For me, it's not important anymore on stage and then studio, but sometimes I miss the bodies
Yeah. Other
and
bodies. Right.
other bodies.
Right.
So
Well, I'm
like,
thinking the way you have gone on these multiple journeys following your heart, that you're probably going to keep going, and who knows where you're going to end up, but make sure you stay where you are so I can keep coming to you. Because my back and my body is so happy. I feel very fortunate.
yeah, I continue to meet you, and same time, you know what to do now. So
I know that's true. Oh, you're talking about homework, aren't you?
yes.
On that note, I'm going to thank everybody for listening and hearing what this wise woman who has come from way over in the other side of the world to us here in Maine to teach us a lot. And thank you for being my guest, Kyung-sun, and sharing your story with us and helping to inspire other heroines on their journey. And I want to encourage people to listen, to keep listening. There'll be some other, we're in the 5th season now of our podcast for real life heroines. And I'm finding that I would think if I interviewed everybody that I met on the street, every woman, I would find she is on a heroine's journey. So you are too, those of you listening, and tune in for our next podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Chun-sang.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast for real life heroines. Your time and presence mean the world to us. If you're hungry for more inspiration and ready to craft your own heroine story, connect with Susanna outside of the show. Visit SusannaLiller.com to discover her courses and programs designed to empower you on your journey. Until next time, may your days be filled with the courage and strength of a true heroine. Stay inspired.